Hey y'all, welcome. It's Crystal, and hello. It's that time of the week for me, the weekly reading update. So let's see. Let's just dive right into what I got into last week, because it's a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, so let's start as always with the things that I finished reading this past week. And first up, I did finish The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton. I think I just started it at my last weekly wrap up. I did end up pulling up an audiobook for it to kind of help me get through it, because it's quite big. It's, yeah, close to 550 pages. And overall, really enjoyed this one. This was my second time reading Kate Morton. I've read The Secret Keeper, which I also really liked, and yeah, enjoyed this one too. So let's see. This is sort of what Kate Morton does. She does, sort of family type stories, told usually over multiple timelines, and that's definitely the case here. We've got a sort of early 1900s timeline, and a smaller but still very important timeline in like the 1970s, and then we have a sort of 2005 2006-ish timeline. And our story opens right up with a young girl. I don't know, she's like 4 or 5 years old, and she's being put onto this ship, and that is going from the UK all the way down to Australia. And this lady's like, putting her on this ship. She's like, I'm gonna be right back, stay right here, I will be right back. And wouldn't you know it, the ship sailed off and she's by herself, and she gets to Australia, and she's by herself, and she's a little kid. And this basically leads into our story of who is this little kid, what is this connection to Australia, what's the connection to the past back in the UK. There's a book involved, an author who wrote sort of fairy tale stories, who was intertwined in all of this, and it's really lovely. I don't want to say too much else, because again, Kate Morton, so there's some family secrets, there's some twists and turns, and some revelations that we discover along the way, and it was pretty good. So Kate Morton just really does a great job at kind of really invoking the scene. She this does have a forgotten garden in it, and we can really visualize the stone wall, the overgrown garden, the apple tree that's like out of control and has just crazy fruit over it. Even the scenes of what it was like for the little girl on the ship, what it was like for their the family that's living in Australia. I mean, she just does a great job with that, and really wonderful characters that you're very invested in, and you definitely want to know what's going on with them, and what's happened with their family. So would recommend it for sure. It was very good. So Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton, very enjoyable. And let's see what is next. I have to check my trusty notebook, because otherwise I forget. So I had a DNF. I DNF'd Hello Universe by Erin and Trotta Kelly. I'm very bummed that I DNF'd this book. This was for my middle grade March TBR. I got this far. So let's see, right on page 33, the R word was used, and it actually it flabbergasted me. I don't think I've ever used the word flabbergasted, but that's how I felt. I was taken right out of the story. It was so unexpected. It was unnecessary, and I don't know. I just lost all interest in reading this book, and I was bummed. This is a Newbery winner. I expected like really good stuff. I guess this ain't it. I don't know. I'm still a little ticked off about it. So I don't know. What else are you gonna say? So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna harp on that one anymore. I'm gonna grab something that film. Okay. So that was a bummer. That was a bummer. Okay, and this is a newer book. Okay, maybe I'm not done. Okay, this is a newer book. This came out in 2017, I think it was. So this isn't some old book. People know better by now, and especially this being like a children's book. I don't know. Nope. Okay. So moving on. I had some downtime at work, in which I had downtime. That's what downtime is, right? And I didn't have anything with me but my phone, so I was like, well, I don't know. I don't really want to just sit here. So let me see what I can pull up on my Kindle app, on my phone. Maybe just read a short story or something. Yeah, I read a bunch of short stories. So let's dig into those just right quick. So the first one I pulled up was Sed de Sangre from V. Castro. This is a collection of 3 short stories. Was it 3 or 4? 1, 2, 3 short stories. I made a little note for myself. And really, 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 really enjoyed these. Let's see, the first one was called Carnival of Gore. Vampires have a deal with humans, and they allow them to feast once a year, but maybe this is the year that changes. Very sexy, very good vampire story. Really, really liked that one. The second one was the Four Horsemen Inn. There's 2 people that are trapped in this inn. Well, it seems like the zombie apocalypse is occurring around them. And also, again, kind of steamy. B. Crossroad, she can write some steamy stuff into her books, which I like. And this was a very interesting take on a zombie story. And the third and final story of this little collection was called Snake Hips. Again, quite sexual in nature, but perhaps with a snakish, monsterish lady. I don't know. I really liked this. Again, really short collection, but she really kind of played with those classic horror tropes of vampires, vampires, zombies, monsters. And just kind of did a little something different with it. And I ended up really liking that one. So, Sed de Sangre by V. Castro, lots of fun. Then I pulled up another short story, Gardening by Rob Shepherd, and this one was a lot of fun. It's this older man who loves his garden. He is very proud of his garden. He takes a lot of work, and he for the last several years has won the award for like best garden in town kind of thing. But he has this old neighbor who is just like really jealous of his garden, and they don't get along because they're each trying to have the best garden. So it starts like a silly kind of setting, but things turn quite sinister when the old neighbor is poking his nose into our main character's business, if you know what I'm saying. And it turns sour very quickly and a bit violent. So it was a lot of fun, actually, and I really liked the ending. It was a good ending too. So that was a really fun story, Gardening by Rob Shepherd. I had another short story by Rob Shepherd on my Kindle, so I pulled that one up, The Caretaker. This one had a much different feel to it. This was very violent and gory and torturous. We've got a young couple that are moving into this new big apartment building. Well, it's not new, but it's new to them, an apartment building. And there's this caretaker who takes care of the place. And they're just getting in the routine of getting into the new place, and they're meeting the neighbors, and then, well, sometimes they don't see a neighbor for and they're like, well, what happened to this guy, and what happened to this person, Well, seems like this caretaker is, of course, not quite what he seems, and has a little torture shed out the back, and pretty gruesome. So and of course our main characters get involved, and it was pretty gnarly. Yeah, I had some really when I say this, but some some really good violence in it, and it was pretty, lots of gore and grossness, and it was pretty good too. This story, as I noticed in one of Rob Shepard's other stories, My Name is Human, there were some few errors in the story. But this one, the caretaker wasn't bad. It was just a few things here and there where, some weird punctuation or something like that. But overall, it was pretty enjoyable and quite bloody. So that was a fun story. And it filled a few minutes of my time, right? So yeah. And then I dove into, again, I just had some time on my hands, okay? So I pulled up 2 short story collections by Sonora Taylor. And I've not read anything about Sonora Taylor, but she's definitely been on my radar. I'm not going to talk too much about these because I think I'm just going to do a separate video because I think I have another Sonora Taylor short story collection. I'm going to read that one and maybe just do like a triple little book chat about. But just to mention it here, the first one was Wither and Other Stories. Now this one had 4 stories, I believe. Let me look at my little notes I took. Yes, 4 stories on it, and I loved these stories. I loved these stories. So I cannot wait to talk a little bit more about them coming up soon. And then I read the Crow's Gift and Other Tales, and again, really loved those stories also. So yes, very, very enjoyable, really good stuff. And now I'm like, why have I waited so long to read Sonora Taylor? I don't know. She writes good stuff. But yeah, so I think I lie. I just finished The Color Purple by Alice Walker. I don't know why I've waited this long to read this book. It is fantastic, as I knew it was going to be. And holy smokes, I listened to the audiobook, which Alice Walker narrates herself. It's fantastic, and most people, maybe we know about The Color Purple. Either you've read this before or you've seen the movie. I've seen the movie a handful of times, of course, and the movie is wonderful. It really captures, the feel of the book and the characters of the book, I think, very well. But reading it, oh my god, it's fantastic. Oh my gosh, the story of Celie and Nettie, right? These 2 sisters who are separated by circumstances of their lives, right? And we follow primarily Celie, who is writing letters. At the beginning, she writes to God because she doesn't really have anyone else to write to, and she just documents her life, being basically married away to some old guy, being abused, being raped, being abused, falling in love, all kinds of stuff, and all of her friends and family that she has along the way, Miss Sophia and Harpo and Shug. God, this book is so good. And I really, I know the movie cuts out a lot of the relationship between Celie and Shug, which is a shame because it's absolutely beautiful. These 2 women just really do love each other in this story, and it's so wonderful to see. And I don't know. I don't even know what else to say because I'm just like, it's just 5 stars, and I sobbed. I absolutely cried, and at the end I was just a blubbering mess, and it's so good. And I know I have The Temple of My Familiar on my shelf, which is there's sort of like a trilogy-ish, for this story. And so I think Temples of My Familiar is the second part, of kind of picking up this story. So I definitely want to get to that. Maybe sometime this year, maybe. That would be great. I loved it. If, like me, you haven't read this yet, please read it. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Okay. This does fulfill... What did I have this under? I think I had this under one of the 10 books for 10 decades, that challenge from Reggie Reads on Instagram. I think that fulfills one of those prompts also, so that was good. Yeah, that's all the things I finished. There's a lot. I acknowledge that. It's fine. Look, basically, books are giving me what I need in my life right now, and so I'm just writing that. I'm riding that train, you know? I think we probably go up and down with the things that bring us joy in our life. We don't always have a lot of joy in our lives. Not to be melancholy, but, you know, you gotta do, sometimes we just have to do what makes us feel happy, and right now books make me happy, so, yeah. Things in progress. Of course, I'm still making my way through these. Dorothy Allison's Trash. I've actually got one more story in this collection, and this one will be wrapped up, and yeah, I cannot wait to talk about this more because I'm loving it, and I'm still making my way through this collection. I Become a Delight to My Enemies by Sera Peters. I say it's a poetry collection. It's mostly poetry, but there are some sort of short prose pieces throughout too. And again, I can't wait to talk about this further too. The more I get into it, it's just like, I don't have much left, so it's a strange one, but it's good. I'm just about 60-ish% still through Black Leopard, Red Wolf. Absolutely loving this story. I'm absolutely loving this book. It is so good. It is a really inventive and new to me type of fantasy storytelling, and I'm just loving it. So we'll talk about it more, of course, as I finish. And I think that's all I've got in progress since I finished The Color Purple. So yeah, those are the things I've got on the docket. So I'll pick up something this week, probably Survivor by Jeff Gonzalez, maybe, or The Wasp Factory. Those are some buddy read stuff that I've got planned, and I do need to pick up Grey Bastards sometimes as well, so I can get that one finished. But anyway, I don't know. I've had an awesome week. Let's see. I did get some book mail. One little thing here. Of course, I had to pick this up when I saw that it was sort of secretly released. Eric LaRocca's You've Lost a Lot of Blood. I don't know. I don't even know what it's about, but I just kind of knew I had to have it, right? It's really cool. It's got these drawings throughout, and I'm excited. I'll probably read it soonish, honestly, because I want to know what's in it. I want to know what it's about. And I think that's it. Try to look around me, make sure I don't forget anything. That's about it. So yeah, good week for me. I hope that you had a good week. Just a little personal update. My husband, my son, and I went to a women's lacrosse game at the local university where we live, and that was so much fun. Our first time going to a lacrosse game, and those ladies are beasts, man. They are tough, and it was a lot of fun. So, well, we all got sunburn because I didn't, it's still March, and I just didn't think about the sun, and so we've been dealing with peeling noses and red faces all week, but it was fun. We're gonna go to the zoo tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. But anyway, that's about it, really. This is my last week of my at-home work, so next week I'll start back full-time, going into the office, and it is what it is, so we'll just move on from that. And I hope that you're doing well, and thanks as always for watching and spending so much of your time with me. I always appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for me this time around. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, friends.